Welcome to Huddle Up. We're back again this week, and I am with two of my teammates from 1981, Joe Brown, defensive tackle, and his brother Ed Brown, defensive end. Well, gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Frank.
Thank you.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Got to thank our sponsor real quick tonight. Our sponsor is going to be Shasko Global Logistics, Troy Shasko from 1983. Troy is a huge sponsor, and we appreciate all of our sponsors who made spring game possible and all that we do at our R4L. All right, guys, let's jump into it. You guys are the Pottstown Connection, and there's a group of four, you guys, and then there's Frank Berinsky, Dave Calvario, five, George Wise. Almost forgot George. What brought you guys to SHIP, man? How did you even find out about SHIP down in the Eastern PA?
You go, Joe. You start.
Yeah,
you're the first one.
I'll tell you what, that Pottstown Connection thing didn't really start till in the middle of the 81 season there.
Yeah.
I don't know who came up with that. I guess somebody realized there was a couple of guys from Pottstown in the starting lineup, so it just birthed itself, I guess. But anyway, our dad was in the Air Force, and we bounced around it. I went to 3 different high schools. Chuck went to 2 different schools. I didn't even play high school football in Pennsylvania. Really? And actually, I had a scholarship coming out of Michigan, up in Oscoda, Michigan, to go to Northern Michigan University.
Oh, really?
And as it turned out, back in those days, I found out like a month before graduation from high school that I had lost a scholarship because I was no longer in state resident. So that wasn't a fun letter to see in the mail.
Huh.
I lost it. I was like heartbroken.
Yeah.
I actually set out for a year after I graduated and went to work trying to figure out, okay, I'm not going to Northern Michigan University. What am I going to do? Any place down here in Pennsylvania. I ended up playing some semi-pro football while I was working at a company out in Great Valley. And somebody asked me to come out and play for the Coatesville Steelers. Yeah, I was like, I went out there and but anyway, I went out there and these guys were drinking beer before the game and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm in the right place here, And then I guess after a couple of games, somebody gave Coach Monis my name. And he gave me a call. He said, I heard you're playing football. Come up, take a look at SHIP. And I went. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he walked us around the campus, and my dad was with me, and they had just started the computer science program up at SHIP. I was like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Nice. I was like, they got me.
Yeah, I did not anticipate going to college. I was out of control, typical guy back in the day, and I had to take Joe up to summer camp. Was it your sophomore year, Joe?
Yeah.
Your sophomore year, and we pull up in our Plymouth Fury, the beast, and start to unload Joe, and I threw his carry box upstairs to the second floor. And next thing you know, Monis said, who are you? I said, I'm Joe Brown's little brother. And he goes, okay, you want to play football? And I go, I never thought about that. They called my dad on the phone and said he's not coming home, and I went to college prep that summer.
He's not coming home.
And that's the end of the story.
Really, that's it. Like you just showed up, Mo hooked you, and you stayed.
Yeah. Hey, Joe. I mean, if I'm forgetting anything, that's what I recall.
Yeah,
I had no plan on coming up there at all.
Yeah, I was surprised too, and I was like, okay.
Well, now, okay, since you brought it up, being brothers on the same team, did you guys play together in high school?
Yeah,
we were on the same high school team, and when we were playing Little League and stuff like that, we were on the same team all the time.
Yeah,
we kind of knew each other,
Yeah.
Little friendly competition amongst you.
I wasn't competing against him. I think he was chasing me.
Oh, really?
Actually, Chuck was a better baseball player back in the day.
Yeah, I was a better baseball player.
Okay, so did you have any foresight to see that your career was going to go the way it went?
No.
I mean, you ended up being 4-time all-conference, right?
Yeah. I mean,
All-American at the end?
All-American at the end. And I knew I could play football. I mean, I played with the big guys. I was a little runt. I weighed 99 pounds. What, Joe? Even up until my junior year in high school, I weighed 99 pounds.
Really? Because you guys
Yeah,
are
and I
both
got
some
real
big
sick one
dudes.
summer. I got real sick one summer, and they thought I was going to pass. And next thing I know, I woke up and started putting on weight. I weighed 210 within 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, strange, but I could always play football. It wasn't my best sport. And oddly enough, I played defensive end and I was also a tailback.
I was playing fullback. We were running a wishbone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
And
guys
then,
were both you guys were both in the backfield?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yep. And our little brother played quarterback.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That is wild. Now you guys are, I mean, you guys are both big dudes. I remember when I first got on campus.
You know, looking back at it.
What's that?
Yeah, looking back at it, Fran, looking back in time, what I've come to realize is late physical bloomers.
Yeah.
Right. You've heard that term before. We just grew up a little bit later than everybody else.
Yeah.
But by the time we got to college, we were starting to fill out.
Hell yeah. I remember walking on campus seeing your big ass, and I was thinking, who's this guy? You had the big fro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were a little intimidating looking, I got to admit.
Yeah, I was a nice, friendly guy.
You were a nice, friendly guy. We always got along. We always got along great, even though we had to butt heads every day.
Yeah.
Now you guys have two very different personalities, two very different styles. You know, both on the field and off the field. You know,
Yeah.
and you always had a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, it seemed, on the field, you know, like you wanted to show some people something. And Joe, you were just like, you were quiet and steady, man. You were just like quiet and steady and little smack talk on occasion, but
well, you know, when folks are looking at you, you know, slanty eyed, like, what are you doing on the field with us? You know, especially, you know, during pregame warmups, they'd be laughing at us. Like when we went down to Towson, those guys were laughing at us like they were getting ready to play a high school game on Friday, right? I was like, get out of here. You have no idea what we're going to do to you. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not even sure we knew what we were going to do to them, but
yeah, that's true too.
We ended up doing it to them. I think I always look at the Towson game as like a turning point game that season.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, we had played Bloomsburg and we beat them, but it wasn't great. And then, you know, we went to Towson and man, we just whomped on them.
Yeah. I remember Coach Rollins was, you know, giving us the intel on these guys. And he would look at us and say, don't worry. They look big, but they're not that good. They look big, but they're not that good. I was like, well, big dudes would probably could do a lot of damage. So, you know, we better be prepared for war here. And that's what it was. It really was.
Yeah.
I remember trying to take the guy's head off first play from scrimmage, man. And I think I broke my forearm on the first play. It was a hairline fracture.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, the rest of the season, I walked around with that soccer shin guard on my forearm.
Yielding a weapon.
Handy. I love that.
That was a weapon. You couldn't have that pad now, man.
No.
You would not be allowed to have that pad now.
That worked out well for me.
You know, it's funny. I don't get to talk a lot about the 81 season with guys when I'm doing this podcast, but, you know, it's great to have you guys both here because, you know, we all experienced that together. And, you know, there were some great moments throughout that year, like a number of them that I always reflect back on. And I know you guys had some big plays and, you know, maybe what's like a highlight, like something that really sticks out in your head? Joe, you go first, maybe. Is there a moment that you just recall that was just like a big moment for you?
Coach Vito Ragazzo, he is a hell of a man.
Yeah.
Right. He's just a hell of a man. And he's been through some things in his life. And, you know, he would talk to us like we were grown up men in 81. You know, we caught hell the previous couple of years, but I think he knew what he had on his hands and he was treating us at a different level. And he was able to just bring it out of us. I remember he used to say, you play like you got some fire in your ass. I was like, hey, I know what that means. And he didn't pull any punches, man. If you messed up, you know, he was on your tail. And if you did good, he was giving you a high five. It was good stuff.
Yeah. Eddie, I know my favorite play of yours. It might not be yours, but it's the Clarion game when
Everyone says
you just,
that.
you just blew the guy up, you know,
Yeah.
you know, they throw that little flare pass and you just timed it perfectly. But is there another one that's in your head that really you had some
Well,
big, and maybe not even 81. You had some years.
Well, I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
When he was a freshman,
oh yeah.
we're out there at Grove. It was like the end of camp, and they were doing punt returns, right? And you know, first O gets up there, they're kicking punts, they're practicing running downfield and clobbering whoever catches the ball, right? Me and George sideline, and all of a sudden they get ready to run another one of these drills, and I guess it was Scott Benjamin hit a boomer, man, and everybody's like, "Wow, you could just like the crack of a bat." And then we looked to see who was going to catch the ball, and it was Chuck. Ed. He started running backwards, and he caught it over his shoulder, man.
Oh my God!
He caught the ball, he stopped, turned around, and I was like, "Oh shit, something's
so
going to happen here."
I don't think anybody's going to tackle you with the ball.
He started running like a fullback, man, right into the offensive. Different guys was bouncing off him, and then Vito just blew the whistle. He said, "Tweet, tweet, tweet, get over there," and then varsity after that.
You didn't get full-time punt return
I was like,
job
"You
after
gotta
that.
be kidding me."
No.
I was surprised he didn't actually kill one of our offensive linemen.
Exactly.
He wasn't running away from anybody.
I guarantee you, I would not have tried to tackle him at that point.
Well, for me, friend, there was a goal line stand. I think it was Lockhaven goal line, and we called a 50 pinch.
Mhm.
And the first pinch we did, we stopped the guy in the backfield, but his heel came up between my cage and it broke my nose.
Oh.
So after the ref's looking at me, say you need to go off the field, and I said no. I just pulled my nose down and blew the snot out and went in the huddle and called the next play. And then it was I think it ended up being a quarterback sack. They tried to do a little flare pass from the 7-yard line, but they didn't make it because I was a little pissed off. The guy broke my nose.
Yeah.
And then I walked off the field, and
Coach
that stuck in my mind. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
Chuck
was.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Chuck got pretty. He got out there, man. I was like, okay, fight starts. Who am I going to take out? Because they're not beating up my brother.
Well, I'll tell
Matter
you.
of fact, that did happen a couple times. I forget. For me, the first time was down there when we played Virginia Union. Remember that, Chuck, on that damn on that hard ass concrete with green paint on it?
Yeah.
The supposed AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Chuck had gotten busted up on a play, made it, but they ended up having to walk him off. Man, I was so pissed off. The next play, I tried to run into the backfield. I jumped over some guy. And next thing I knew, somebody clipped my legs. And I just went around in the air and landed on my back. I thought I was dead. Honest. All the air left my body. I couldn't breathe. They had to take me out, man. And George was just shaking his head, man. Like, you guys quit trying to be superheroes out here. But we got back in the game at least.
Yeah. Talk about, you guys were both up at the spring game, and Coach Rollins, we honored him, with that Bill Cockley Impact Award, and that was emotional. I thought that was cool. What are your memories of Coach Rollins? How do you reflect back on Coach when you think of him?
Oh man, comedian. He was a comedian, man. He was a cross between Jack Leeson and I haven't figured out who the other person is, but strictly both. He'd be telling stories and cracking jokes the whole time while we were sweating underneath the chutes or doing our drills, killing each other. He'd just be working us up, man. It's like, okay, you guys ready to go beat up the offense?
He did.
I thought that was.
He poked it a little bit. He poked the fire a little bit. He used to always try to get us against each other and get that O-line against that D-line and see what could happen. Eddie, how about you? I know when you had Coach Aaron Arndt. It was probably more your guy.
Oh man, Ed Arndt.
Yep.
Ed Arndt, bless him. I mean, I have never had a coach like that, and believe it or not, I think he had a bigger impact than any of the coaches I've ever had. There's something about the cow field and going on maneuvers that just got you in the right
in the cornfield.
out in the cornfield.
I mean, we weren't just rolling around. We was actually pretending that they're right out there and we got to get them. It's crazy, man.
He
Yeah.
was a little crazy, I think.
Yes, he was. Yes, he
You know,
was.
he had that mindset, he had that mindset. You go to war for him.
Yep.
And I feel like that whole group of coaches was kind of like that. We all really kind of developed a bond with those guys.
Yeah.
I know, my coach Billy Heckler. I mean, I love that guy. He's a great coach. And
Yeah.
obviously starting with Vito, Coach Mo, and then Rollins. These guys were all great. Tony Winter,
Yeah.
just a great bunch of guys. You guys were both up at the spring game and you saw the team, you were on the field. What were some of your takeaways from what you saw at the spring game?
I could tell these guys they looked a little hungry. I could
Mhm.
tell there was some competition going on. And a lot of those one-on-one matchups or half-line matchups, you could see they were kind of going after each other.
Oh yeah.
It was good to see none of them got dirty. It didn't turn into a fight or anything like that. I mean, I think back when we were playing, we probably right on the edge of being in some fights, with Elshansky and the crew there.
Yeah.
I got a little
Man.
heated.
What I saw up there, I saw a lot of hungriness, and I was very enthusiastic about seeing that. And I tried to tell the young guys, look, yeah, the seniors are the seniors. You're a freshman, you're a sophomore, but now's the time for you to mess up so you understand your position.
Mhm.
And once they started, letting themselves go, it increased the seniors' play as well.
Right.
Even if it was just through that practice, I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean,
Yep.
everyone's got to be hungry, because if you start getting satisfied because you're a senior and you're going to start, I'm the guy that I don't agree that seniors are necessarily the starting people.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
You're going to have to win it every day.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, I think about our team, our group of guys. We were all there 4 years. We all stayed all 4 years and kind of grew
Yeah.
up together and played together. And that's so different now. It's so different now.
Oh,
Where,
yeah.
they're just guys come and go. And what are your thoughts on all of that? And how do you build that team, that camaraderie?
That's
I know,
hard.
just like we had a team meeting before the Virginia Union game. Like we were
Yeah.
that close, because there was some
Right.
stuff going on. And,
Right.
you guys were willing to say, "Hey, we're going to get together and talk this through," because
Yeah.
it was really like a family.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that you can build that kind of bond nowadays, that kind of connection.
Yeah, I think that's why Nick Saban from Alabama, I think that's why he's trying to get back into having some say so in the NIL, because that really affects the team's cohesiveness. I mean, today you're there, tomorrow you're gone. You can't build. No one knows what's going on. Your
Yeah.
starting running back moves to another school. I mean, I understand the individual statistics, but there's a lot more teamship that needs to be focused on, and I think that's going to take away from the game, because you might have a good team with good athletes, but they're not good teammates.
Right. Right.
And that just takes away, in my opinion, from the game, the fun.
Yeah, that's a heck of a challenge for Mac now to try to be in charge of a group of guys that he doesn't know who's going to be there from one semester to the next semester. That's crazy. I grew up in Shippensburg. I really did.
Right.
I grew up from a young man and into a man for real.
Yeah.
And I did it with you guys, my brothers,
Mhm.
and that's had a lifelong impact on me. We probably weren't talking a lot about brotherhood back in '81.
Right.
We were living it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were living it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all realize it afterwards when we walk away and we go, you know what that was? That was special.
Yeah.
It really was.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. And it's lasted 40
Oh yeah, you could
years.
tell.
It's lasting forever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to build, man. You gotta have buy-in, you gotta have people committed, you gotta have people that want to stay there and do the long tour, we call it.
Yeah. Do the hard work. Yeah. Do the hard work. Yeah. You guys both come from a military family. Your dad was in the service. You guys both put time in. How did that impact your life and where you're at today? I know, Joe, it was a lifetime commitment for you, buddy. How big an impact did the service have on you?
And when I was a kid, I wanted to be three things. I wanted to be a soldier because I like the movies and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to be a scientist because I like to tinker around and explore and research and all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted to be a pro football player, like everybody, right?
Yeah, right.
So I got 2 out of 3. I'm content. So my dad was a master sergeant in the Air Force, and
3 times.
3 times.
Yeah, remember when he lost it?
Oh yeah, he did get busted a couple times.
That was back in the day when a sergeant was a sergeant.
They could take your rank from you, and then you do a couple good things, and they give it back to you. Yeah, nobody remembers the bad parts. But anyway, he was not somebody you messed around with, right? Yeah. I mean, he was like, he wasn't like a drill sergeant on our case saying, you have to sir, no sir to me every time I see you. And so that got out of trouble for the most part, bouncing around the globe like we did, living in Germany and Michigan, a couple other places. And, we didn't have that, that rural or hometown kind of like growing up in Pottstown kind of a background, which is completely different than anything we'd ever seen in our lives.
Wow.
I only went to school there for a semester in my senior year. So I didn't actually get to live the life, but I had like 18 cousins that had all played football at Pottstown, played ball with George and before George and after George and all that. So, I was kind of fortunate that I escaped all that, I guess. But Chuck played his senior year there at Pottstown. That was kind of rough.
Yeah, I went our senior year, we went 0-12.
Oh, really?
And I was told by the coach, and I won't use his name, he's a dear friend, but he told me never to try to play college ball because you're not going to be good enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And
I only played 1 year for this coach. And yeah, I really didn't care because I had no plans on going to college anyhow. Yeah. But growing up in the military, we were close as brothers. Yeah. Because that's who we had to rely on most of the time. Just us three boys. If one got in trouble, we all got in trouble. But other than that, yeah, this hometown life, that was uniquely different, and I'm glad I got to experience it at Shippensburg with a good support staff. Because if I would have been growing up in Pottstown, it would have turned out really, really different. knowing where my head and mindset was back in those days.
Now you guys had both great careers, and I always say, Eddie, you got all the accolades and you had a great career and you earned every one of them. Joe, I always felt like you got the shaft, brother. I think, I played against you every day of my career, from the time I was a freshman. And I know you don't hold any hard feelings, but I'll tell you what, man, you're one of the toughest defensive linemen I ever went against.
Yeah.
I go with the
I appreciate that, Fran.
No, man. I go with the old iron sharpens iron. And I was the ball player I was just because I got my ass kicked by you and George and the rest of that defensive unit all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing I talked to the O-line and the D-line men up there at the spring game. I said, listen, your job is to make those guys over there a lot better. Challenge them.
That's right.
Beat them up. That's your job. I didn't say play dirty. I didn't say take cheap shots. But make them rise to the occasion. If you guys skip off and make them, do something about it, get better, right? That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and
the games was a lot easier, to tell you the truth, than practice.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is practice was a grind, and that's for sure. Games, you could handle games.
Yeah. Games were easy. Yeah. Games were fun.
Yeah, we did have some really tough games.
Oh, sure.
We did have a couple of really tough games against some, much bigger opponents or whatever, Towson and
James Madison.
Heck, James Madison. Yeah. I remember that hog playing offensive tackle on the other side. And he he was bent on trying to kill me, man. I swear to God, he wanted to kill me, right? But I wouldn't let him kick. I was a lot. I would hit him and I'd move. I'd be gone. Doing like stick, I hit him with a forearm, punch him or push him to the side and get away. I wasn't about to let him bury me.
Yeah, we had them, and then we also played against I know Edinburgh was good that year. Slippery Rock was really good that year. I mean, we were playing in the West.
Yeah.
That's always an interesting thing, I think.
Those guys from IUP, they weren't no slouches. I mean, we killed them.
Yeah,
but they weren't little guys either.
No, they were big. They were big dudes.
Yep, we travel out to the West. I think that's why we had a good success rate against like James Madison and Towson, because we're playing those guys in the West, and they were monsters.
Yeah, they were monsters.
Yes. Hey, and one last thing, guys. I know you're both into RR4L and what we're trying to do, and what are your thoughts on trying to get guys involved, trying to get them engaged, and get them to be a part of this organization. We really need guys to join the club and really help us get the money going, because of that. When we play teams like IUP, they've got twice as many scholarships and things like that.
Right.
What's your pitch to anybody who's watching this tonight?
As you can see on our club, man, we got guys from all kinds of age groups, right? Old retired guys like us, or getting ready to be retired like you, to young guys that are just getting out there, starting their first job, or family, kids and stuff. That's a hard act to balance, all that kind of stuff. But the key is to get them hooked early, and then keep working them. Yeah. I think we're doing the right kind of thing.
Yeah, I echo that. The only thing I'll say is that as these student athletes enter the portal and they go from college to college, it's going to be hard to grow that togetherness, but it could still be possible. I mean, it's all about the experience that they have at SHIP. You might have been a football player, but you weren't a starter, but you benefited, and the team benefited in other ways from your participation in that. And that needs to be, not put in the back, but put up front. I tell everyone, I would, all the accolades I did, it's because of the teammates that I had. They made it possible for me to do it.
Well, you had
Fran, I would tell you this, when we used to watch, and we still do it from now and time, when Joe and George get together with me, and then we start saying, well, what about this game? So we pop in the CD, and these guys would be fighting. There's my elbow on that tackle. There's my hand sticking up from the body. Oh, I got that tackle. And then I just come across and put my hand on the guy, number 82, got the tackle. And they're like, you didn't get the tackle, we did. And I'm going, hey, last person seen, man. You know the deal.
We used to always say that because Tony Winter was keeping those tackle stats, and we used to always say, dude, Pryor had more tackles from the Tony Winter statistic line than he did on the field. But there was I'll tell you, that defense, when you look back at it, between you two, George, you had Steve Dalvin, you had Tom Betts, Pryor, Chris Potter,
Pizicki.
I mean, there's Jock Peterson back at safety. I mean,
Pat Silva.
And I got a couple forearms on him from him.
Yeah, we kind of ran out of guys there at the end. Right?
That's what happened. I think against North Dakota State, we were no bodies left.
Yeah, we turned around and we're in the huddle like, who's calling the defense here? Who's this guy? Lance Waddell, man.
Yeah, Woody was in there. Yeah, we had Woody in there.
Man, he was on the scout squad at the beginning of the season,
Yeah. That made it hard. That was a great run, though. It was a great run.
Memory.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Still
no complaints.
Yep.
Other than we should have beat those guys.
I know. That does haunt me.
It does haunt me. I don't like talking about that.
Neither do I, man. When you look at the stat line and everything else, and you're just kind of like,
I didn't have any more to give, man. I think my ankle was black and blue ever since the Millersville game. They twisted it. I just didn't have no more. I really shouldn't have played. I mean,
but
that was long. But Calvario, man, what was he in a duct tape sling?
Separated shoulder.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, man.
Yeah. No, that's amazing too. Guys sucked it up because you didn't get the treatment you get now.
Put ice on it. Put ice on it.
Yeah.
He had to go back. Hell, you were out Monday going full pads.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I will say this as a final part. I want to give a shout out to Chuck Beans. Chuck Beans was my wingman, my cornerback on my
Oh, yeah.
side. I'm gonna tell you, he was a tough mojo.
Yep.
He was a good, he was good because if he would have fucked up doing any, without it with the stuff I was doing, and I know what Vito pulled out a lot of his hair because I did a lot of shit that I wasn't supposed to.
Yep.
But Chuck Beans filled in good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it would have turned out great without him.
That's good. Nice. I mean, there's so many guys on that team that you think, I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't even talk about offense, obviously, because you guys.
Oh, yeah.
But, Eddie Brown, Dave Freeze. Eddie Noon, Dave Freeze. Zub, the whole offensive line, Ebby.
Yeah.
Guys like Tommy Sloan. Guys who grind too. Like T. Sloan, he just grinds. He's not going to get any numbers. He's not going to get stats, but he plays, man. Great job. Once again, I want to thank the sponsors, Troy Shasko and Shasko Global Logistics. Yep, everybody loves Troy, man. He's a good dude. And you guys were great. I appreciate you making the time and all your support for RR4L and the team. Next week we're going to hear from Tom Lee, so we'll see how that all goes.
That's going to be interesting. Yeah, we didn't. We were freshmen when T. Lease and those guys were there, right? I remember seeing you talk about seeing him wearing shorts with his thighs busting out like. He looked like Earl Campbell thighs.
He did.
Oh my gosh. That guy was a man. But he was so cool. He was such a cool dude, man. He's like, listen, man, just do,
he's a
in there and hustle. When you can make a play, make a play. I'm like, yeah.
He's a golf pro in Arizona. That's perfect for him.
So fitting. I can see him doing that too.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff.
Making time with the ladies on the golf course.
Hit the ball in the cup. No problem. Try it again.
All right, man. Great job. Thanks a lot.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
See you soon.